The following portion of Daytime is sponsored by Lundy Koch and Martino.
Believe it or not, it's almost back to school time. And for kids, that means new classes and new friends. But for divorced or separated parents, this can be a time of stress as they start to deal with even more expenses. So joining us to share how to make this process a little easier for both parents, we have Frances Martinez, the marital and family law attorney at Lundy. Welcome back. How have you been?
Great, thank you.
Good. So, I guess the first thing that comes to mind with back to school expenses are clothes and school gear, and I know firsthand that adds up. So
it sure does.
When do parents need to start talking about who's paying for what and the things about that?
Ideally, sooner the better. So planning usually makes the process a lot better, but people either take turns on which year they're going to buy them, or one person will take charge, buy it, and they can split the expense, but it's something that is not usually written into an agreement, and so that's something that if it's important to you, you want to make sure to mention to your attorneys that gets included in an agreement.
So that has to be something that's documented then?
Correct.
Oh, okay, good to know. All right, what about when it comes to extracurricular activities and sports and things like that? How does it get split down the middle, or if one parent has the kid through the school year, do they have to take on that responsibility?
So we call it pro rata, which is a percentage of the financial responsibility. So if one parent makes 70% of the income and the other parent makes 30% of the income, then that's the presumptive split for those expenses. The parties can certainly agree to equally divide those, but that's not the starting point usually.
Okay, so speaking of equally dividing things, for those families that maybe have the child 50% of the time with one parent, 50% with the other, how do you decide what school the kid goes to if they're in separate districts?
So a lot of it depends on, are the child already in school when the parties get divorced, because maintaining that continuity may be something that's important for the parents and the child. But ultimately, like any other children's issues, it falls back on what's called the best interest of the child. So you look to see what sort of academic environment suits the child best and hopefully stick with that.
Well, you definitely want what's best for the kids at the forefront. What are some other things that along the process of getting ready for school you think that parents should prepare for?
Looking at the calendar, that can be a big one. The starting date often changes and the holidays aren't the same every year. And so I always encourage my clients to, at the beginning of the school year, look at the whole calendar and map it out so that there's no last minute, whose weekend is it? Or I thought it was my holiday, which unfortunately does happen.
Wow, I bet that definitely helps along the process for the short term and the long term of the school year, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Frances, thank you so much for being here with us
again
today. And for more information, you can visit olderlundylaw.com or call the number right there on your screen. It's 813-254-8998. Daytime will be right back.
The preceding portion of Daytime was sponsored by Lundy Koch and Martino.